Hello, Steve. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm already really loving the energy, actually. I feel like despite it being first thing in the morning, you're bringing all of the vibe already.
I'm going to try. It's a little bit early for me in Los Angeles here, but hey, it's you. So I've got to do what I've got to do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate it. So as I was just saying, I saw a post that you wrote that was related to your new book, and it really captured my attention. And as I said, this is probably me paraphrasing, but you said something like, what would you create if you weren't afraid of being laughed at? And I think that's a really powerful question anyway. But my sense is, at the time that I saw you write that, I'd been in this, I guess, inquiry myself of realizing there were still places that I was holding back for this kind of sense of, and, like most of us, I've had sort of experience in my life where I was like bullied and, made fun of. And I realized there's this part of me that was like, oh, if I say that or do that, I'll be mocked. And I think I was already in that sort of contemplation, and then saw your post and I was like, that's a conversation I really want to have with Steve. So here we are.
It's a strange one, and it's a strange one, a scary one, a toxic one, and sadly getting worse.
Yes.
You see, I just to give you a little bit of background, for 25 plus years, I was probably the most connected person in the planet that nobody knew. And I worked with billionaires and some millionaires. So it was all about communicating. What did they need? But it was all about speaking with people, having a conversation, communication. Now, then this thing called COVID came across, and all of a sudden, we couldn't go out to the pub. We couldn't go down to the coffee shop. We couldn't stand in line for a bus. And everyone's complaining that we were losing the ability to connect. Well, here was the dumb thing. We weren't connecting before COVID. You would stand in a coffee shop, and if someone started to have a conversation with you in a coffee shop, you looked at them like they were an alien. So COVID came across, and all of a sudden, we were universally, for the first time in history, had a common problem. Even during the world wars, the depression, the plague, we could cold call anyone from Korea to Philadelphia, to London, to Paris, South Africa, Iceland, anywhere in the planet you could phone up. And the second the person picks up the phone, you could say, hey, how's COVID treating you? And they would have a response. Now, we've never had that in the World War. We've never had that during the pandemic. We've never had that ever before. But during a time when we were connected with a single issue, we started attacking each other. And some of the biggest riots, marches, protests erupted during COVID. Politics, war. We started also to produce two things which really upset me: the cancel culture and the gotcha society.
Yeah.
We wanted to look at you and go, hang on a minute. I remember when you dressed up as a panda in 1983. How dare you? You're so ignorant to the feelings and the woes of pandas. I'm going to cancel your career. Now,
I really didn't think that photo of me had got out there.
Well, we joke about it, but that's what's happened.
Yes,
and completely. The downside is, if I stand here and I go, me too, Trump, Asian hate, Black Lives Matter, war. If I say any of those things, people out there are triggered. And quite simply, they're triggered because it affects you. It gives you an emotive response. But whereas in the past, you would go, hey, I don't agree with Trump, or I do agree with Trump, or I don't agree with this, or I do. Now we're actually terrified to say anything in case someone gets that snippet and throws it up as a boomerang on social.
Yeah.
And so what's happened? We're not frightened of failing. We're frightened of speaking. We're frightened of communicating. And there's nothing worse than actually, or in their heads, there's nothing worse than people laughing at us. And that's the downside. That's what I want to disrupt. It was about 2.5 years ago that this started to happen, and it bothered me. And I started throwing out social memes and social quotes trying to poke the bear, trying to get people to stop this. I could see it happening. And I was like, hey, why are you laughing at people? Why aren't you challenging people? Why aren't you supporting people? You know, why are you getting your shits and giggles by mocking other people that are trying? You know, what freaking hell's wrong with you? And I started to put these memes out, and they started getting, to be blunt, a little bit ruder and a little bit more violent, because it was really upsetting me, where we were almost looking around to see what statue can we pull down now? You know, who can we knock off the pedestal? You know, we were looking for that. It was like an Olympic sport. And then someone said to me, you know, put it into a book. And I started doing some research, and it started to come to me. We laugh at people. We're very quick to laugh at people's dreams. And I'm gonna pick on you here. How many times in your past life have you been having coffee or wine or a drink or a meal with a group of friends, and you start talking about your goals and aspirations, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to do this, and then I read this book, so I'm going to do it, and then it's going to grow, and I'm going to impact thousands, and someone at your table suddenly glazes over like a deer in headlights, and they're like, have you gone crazy? You know, well, are you mad? And what do you do at that time? You dilute your dream. You go, oh, I'm sorry. Someone must have spiked my coffee. I was having a crazy moment. Don't mind me. I'm back. And we dilute our dreams for fear of those people at our table. 9 times out of 10, our, in air quotes, friends laughing at us. Yet on the same side of the fence, everyone we revere today, everyone we idolize today, Steve Jobs, Larry Page, Jean-Paul DeJoria, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, absolutely every single one of those people dreamt a stupid, ridiculous goal and then reverse engineered how to make it happen. Larry Page said, we need to communicate. Google, Steve Jobs couldn't write code, but said we need to make an easier way that we can compute. Elon Musk, I don't like the way banks work. I'm going to disrupt the banking world. I've got no qualifications, but I'm going to do it anyway. Anyone we revered did stupid, ridiculous things and achieved. And we look at them like gods. But when our buddy turns around and says, hey, I've got this spray shop that works for, I don't know, just Volkswagens, and I'm going to scale it and I'm going to open up a franchise, we're very quick to dismiss it and giggle and laugh and mock them. And that's sad today.
Yes. Oh my goodness. There's so much there that you've just said that I'm like, oh gosh, yes. And I think even more toxic is how that becomes like an inner voice. So we don't even then speak it out loud. Like you said, you know, it's like the fear is actually of speaking, because the inner voice will kind of get there first. Like they'll laugh, therefore I'm not even going to say it. So we're actually like doing that to ourselves if we don't then, you know, to stop ourselves being laughed at by others. It's funny that you mentioned Steve Jobs. I'd said to a client yesterday, has got a really big dream. And she said something like, you know, I'm wondering, like, you know, who am I to, you know, who do I think I am to have this? And I quoted that last line of that Think Different quote, where Steve Jobs says something like, the ones who think they're crazy enough to change the world are the ones that do.
Yep. Classic.
Yeah, it feels so of this whole energy you're talking about. So a couple of things I'd love to ask you. Firstly is,
can I stop you just 1 second? Because you said something vitally important, which I don't want people to overlook. You said that most of the time, the conversations that we're not having are actually with ourselves. And that's the first step. Those people out there mocking you, they're gonna mock, they're gonna jeer. I won't say a dear friend of mine, but a gentleman that I know well, Elon Musk, said they laugh at you before they applaud. Now, the trouble is, before you're willing, before you're committed to have that conversation with other people, you've actually got to have the conversation in the mirror with yourself. What do you want? What is the point of your actions? What impact are you looking to create? Why can you do it? What do you need to make it happen? You need to have that conversation with yourself. And while we're scared of having conversations with other people, that little doubting monster in the back of our head usually kills any conversations we have with ourselves first.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you added that, because I think that's That's exactly right. It's like if we can't even get past that, what do you describe, that little monster in our head, we're not even going to get to the point of being able to put it out there.
No.
So one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, you talked about how you started to see this happening and felt this kind of sense of like, this isn't right. I've started creating all these memes. What was it in you? Like, why was this particularly, feels like a kind of real personal passion, a mission for you to do something about that? Why is that?
Well, actually, that is my stupid goal. You see, the book itself is called Go for Stupid, and everyone should have a stupid goal. My stupid goal is to change the way people are communicating. Now, I was traveling on a flight every single month, and I have been doing that for like 20 years. And traveling's fun, but it really gets laborious. So when COVID came across, I was all of a sudden going, hang on a minute, I don't have to travel. I don't have to drive to work. Anyone that I'm trying to connect with, they also can't travel, so I can easily get hold of them. It was like being given 3 extra days a week. I was getting a 10-day week. And I literally, when COVID happened to me, I'm living up here in Los Angeles. I'm up in the hills with my dog, with my wife, with my family. I rejoiced very, very early on, excuse me, when COVID hit and there was the clamp down. I got to just connect with my family and go, hey, how are we doing? We started, business 10 years. Is it where I wanted it to be? Am I who I wanted to be? Am I doing so we started questioning that. And I was in awe of the fact that I had so much time because, hey, we can make more money. We can make more impact, but we still are eluded from the fact that we can't actually make more time. So all of a sudden, COVID gave it to us. And then what did we see on Facebook? We saw people going, hey, I'm stuck in my house. What can I binge watch on Netflix? I've just finished Ozark. I've just watched the reruns of Sopranos. What else can I? And I thought to myself, people are literally moving towards wasting their life. And I thought we've been given a precious gift here of time. Now, I know a lot of people went through pain. I know a lot of people lost loved ones. But universally, it was a time when we could actually ponder and reflect and go, hey, the whole world has stopped. The whole world has had a pause button hit. This was a beautiful time for us to reflect on our relationships, our focus, our impact. And it annoyed me that it was going the wrong way. And it only got worse. The rumors, the controversy, the conspiracy theories, fake news, cancel culture, protesting this. I thought this was terrible. We were actually starting to attack each other. Now, as human beings, we want to have what we're having. We want to have a conversation. And I want to have a conversation and I want to hear you go, well, Steve, I don't fully agree with that. And I want to be able to go, why not? Give me your point of view. Let's talk it through. Show me where you're seeing that statement from. And that's going to help me grow. But with all of these things going on, we decided to have no conversation. And of course, marry that to something called technology. And what's the number one technology out there at the moment? AI. Okay. I said to my son the other day, I said, hey, turn the air conditioning down. He walked past the Nest thermostat, picked up his phone and went, hey, Siri, turn the aircon down. And it turned the air conditioning down. He walked past the bloody thing to use AI and that kind of stuff. Actually, I just said Siri and my phone suddenly opened up. The funny thing is, yeah, it's ridiculous. Because we're getting used to barking orders, whether it be Amazon, I need toilet roll, Alexa, do this, Siri, put the music on, Siri, find me my local pizza, whatever. Because we're so used to barking those orders, we are losing the ability to converse. And I think that's a danger.
Yeah. Yes. That I really love that. So this actually links nicely to the other thing that I wanted to ask you, as you were talking earlier about cancel culture and this almost like a lack of conversation. Ironically, people had more to talk about, but there was less actual conversation. There was just a lot of talking out and at. How do you see, it's a hard question to, so there's the kind of being willing to almost like put your head above the parapet to actually have a conversation, to say your view and be open to have a conversation in response. And then potentially you could say the wrong thing. And then, as you say, you've got that kind of backlash that happens. I would love to hear what your sense of kind of like where that kind of like need to like mock and laugh at comes, because there's a tearing down part of it, as in, you know, just making people wrong, shaming them, saying you're a bigot, whatever the thing is. But again, going back to the theme of this conversation around being laughed at, I'd love to hear you say a bit more about that specifically, like where does that come from? And I guess, why do you feel that aspect in particular is an important one to focus on?
There was a statement that used to fly around a few years ago that would be, hey, what would you do today if you knew you couldn't fail? You know, we've all heard that statement. I've always hated that statement, because I guarantee you the people on this or in this show at the moment, definitely me, maybe you, we don't know each other well enough, have been broke, have lost money, have lost relationships, have got involved in bad deals. We've made mistakes. And every time we've made those mistakes, we've learned how to do a better deal, how to have a better conversation, how to focus on our relationships, how to be more careful with our money, how to plan better, how to get better structure and infrastructure. So every time something goes wrong, that becomes our learning curve. So when you say, what would you do this week if you knew you couldn't fail? Well, where's the education in that? It's like someone that wins the lottery and has now got $1 million in their bank account giving you financial advice. The only advice they can give you is go buy a ticket from the gas station. That's the only thing that they can tell you. So having the ability to fail, that's education. I've always loved that. Now, the trouble with the laughter aspect, that's been in us innately since we were kids. Do you remember when you were at school, and like all entrepreneurs, we were aggravated. We were aggravated, we were agitated, we were curious. Don't ever lose that. That's your magic sauce. And we sit there in the class and the teacher stands up, says something, and we don't get it. And what do? We go, hey, miss, I don't understand that. What do all the other kids do if you ask it twice? They turn around and laugh at you, don't they? So what do? We still don't understand it, but do we ask a third time? No. We go, well, I'm not going to ask a third time because I asked the second time and I've got, you know, Dorothy over there going, oh, Steve, you're so stupid. You don't get it. I don't get it, you know, but the bottom line of it is that's not my job. It's the teacher's job to help me get it. But we learn from a very young age, keep your head down, don't stick it out. We're taught to follow. We're taught to stand in line. We're taught to be employed. And that's where it's different. We are the decisive movers. We are the people, we're the crazies that think we're going to do it and then challenge ourselves to do it. We're in this concept at the moment where we need to get woke. We need to understand about this matter. We need to respect this situation. We can't be ignorant to this. We need to focus on that innate core of us, which makes us want to laugh at anything. I'll give you a very horrible example. Do you have a car?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a? We'll get to that. Do you have a truck?
No.
Okay. What car you got?
It's a mini electric.
All right. Would you swap it for a truck?
No.
Do you like trucks?
Not especially. I don't think it's my kind of vibe.
All right. Do you remember when Elon Musk unveiled his Cybertruck?
Yes.
Did you see any of it?
A little bit of it. Yes. I think there was, something went wrong, but I can't remember.
Where were you living?
Just outside London in the Hertfordshire countryside.
Okay, so let's break this down. Elon Musk unveils a Cybertruck in Los Angeles. You're the other side of the water. You have no interest in a truck. You don't want a truck. You don't want to buy a truck, but you're still aware and you saw some of him unveiling that truck. Okay. Now, in the 2-hour seminar or webinar release that he did of that truck, he sold out every single order before he had set up one nut. Can you imagine selling out of every product you've got before you've even started manufacturing it?
Wow.
Now that's pretty damn good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Marry that to the fact that he got the attention, and I've used that example from Korea, China, all over the place, and it's the exact same answer. Oh, no, I don't want a truck, but yeah, I saw it. So you know about it. You're not the target market, but he managed to capture the attention of people around the planet that never even had an interest in his product. As an entrepreneur, tell me that's not brilliant. He caught your attention. He sold out of every product before he even built up anything to build the thing. And then he tested the bulletproof glass by throwing a rock at it. And if you remember what happened.
I know that something went wrong, but I can't remember what. I'm guessing it went through the glass.
It went through the glass. Okay. The bulletproof glass broke when this guy threw the rock off. Okay. The following day, the newspapers, as you know, because you've just said it, the newspapers all over the world mocked Elon for the breaking of the unbreakable glass. We didn't revere him for capturing the attention of the planet. We didn't revere him for selling out of every single product before he's even started manufacturing him. We didn't revere him for building something which has never been seen before. You know, the seats were different, the composites, the engine was, everything was different. It basically reinvented the wheel. We didn't stand up and applaud. We found a way to knock him off his pedestal. We found a way to jeer at him. And that's the society we're in today. We got too many lemons out there. We got too many people that are ready to laugh at whatever you say. And the downside is you're listening to them. You're the one that's sitting there going, oh my God, I don't want to be scared. I remember years ago, I was working at a major event, working for the luxury brand Ferrari in Monaco. And someone said to me, now I've been in a black t-shirt and jeans all my life, from East End of London, Bangkok, Geneva, Switzerland, all over the world. And now here in LA, I'm always in a black t-shirt and jeans. And here I am today, black t-shirt and jeans. I've got a bunch of motorcycles and I've got no car. Everywhere I go, I'm on two wheels with a crash helmet in my hand. Okay. I was in Switzerland and someone turned around to me and they went, hey, you're going to that party. And I said, yeah, I'm throwing the party, but also I'm going to these other events. And they went, and you're going like that to Monaco? You're going to dress like that? And it caught me. And I self-doubted myself. And I suddenly bought suits and ties. Now, here was the dumb thing. I was listening to a man that wasn't even invited. I was listening to a man that couldn't even get into the parties. I had got invited and I'm in a black t-shirt and jeans and I'm listening to someone who had absolutely nothing to do with the events. I was listening to the wrong person. Now, I learned a very, very powerful lesson during that event, but I am not going to sell out as me. I'm going to have conversations with me on what I want and what I demand and my standards. And the person laughing at you, bear in mind, 9 times out of 10 is terrified you're going to achieve it and prove them to be inadequate to do so.
It's like you read my mind, because what you've just shared goes some way to answering what I was about to ask you, but I'm still going to ask you because I feel there's more here that's going to be really helpful. Well, for me, actually, as well as listeners. So in until you told that story, I was thinking, it's actually hard to imagine Steve having that sense of, oh, I don't want people to laugh at me. You give the impression so confident, so bursty with life, that it'd just be like waters off a duck's back. So that in itself was really interesting to hear that, you know, just like with everything else, that's something you've needed to learn. So, you know, each of us are going to have, like, you know, varying degrees of, you know, sensitivity to that kind of thing. And I'm guessing, you know, the people you've been in conversation with about this, some people do feel this sense of like, oh, you know, the thought of putting myself out there to be mocked is still excruciating. Like, I can hear everything that Steve says and I agree with it, and yet it still feels so hard to do. What would you say? What's the way forward from there?
So there's a simple rule of thumb that I was taught by a very, very powerful entrepreneur. And he said to me, and I'll apologize in advance, he said, the first time you do anything, it'll be shit. That's the mantra of the first time. How many podcasts have you done?
Oh, it's coming up to 400.
Have you ever dared to listen to the first one you ever did?
I haven't, no.
Right, now you've got a bunch of string instruments in the back. Okay, can you play them, or are they for decoration?
I can't actually. They were my late father's, so they're kind of like art and his spirit.
Okay, fair enough. But can you imagine what he was like the first time he tried to play that? It probably would have been quite painful.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first time we try anything, it'll be shit. So when we try these kind of, and we get these doubts and we get into trouble again, that's where the education is. Had I not been challenged to change myself in order to appeal to a wider market, which I did, that was the dumb thing. I turned up at this event because I was well known at this event, because I'm wearing a handmade suit and I've got a $50,000 watch on, because I am visually looking successful. I started to get people wanting to talk to me that to them, that was important. So they weren't connecting with me. They were connecting with my car, with my watch, with my suit. Now, that really upset me. So when I discovered that, hang on a minute, I've got a lot of clients I have zero connection with, I suddenly started realizing that was a trade-off. You've got to go through those bad things to understand. And what you've always got to do is you've got to ask yourself, where's the root of that conversation? And that's a very, very important thing. If I'm walking down the road and I'm looking at a new car, a new business, I'm trying to do something. I could just be thinking of something and I'm talking about a concept that I want to do. If someone laughs at me, before you accept and receive that laughter, look at the destination and the source that it's coming from and ask yourself, should I be listening to that person? Should I be hearing that comment? Okay. The person that's jeering you is probably the same person that's going to serve you coffee at the drive-thru tomorrow. So should I be listening to that person about business advice? Should I be listening to the lottery winner about financial growth? You know, should I be listening to someone that's never tried a business? Should I be listening to them about how to run a business? What suddenly starts happening is you start deflecting. And it's very easy. I get hate mail. How do you feel about dealing with powerful? How do you sleep with yourself? You're traveling. You're so lucky. Why aren't you donating to Save the Squid? You know, I get a lot of people that come at me like this, and I just bat it away as white noise because the source doesn't benefit me. Now, every now and then I'll get a friend of mine that'll contact me and they'll be like, Steve, I saw you doing this. Why are you doing that? Now, who's the source? It's someone that I respect, someone that's in a position of strength in my head and empowerment that we've become bonded. Now they're asking me that question. I'm like, oh my God, why am I? This is why I'm doing it. And this, and you start working. Now that's a challenger. You know, I believe that you know, cheerleaders,
worthy challenger. Yes.
Yeah, cheerleaders are great. Those people that go, oh, I love you, you're fantastic, you're wonderful. Cheerleaders look great in their outfits, but that's about as useful as it is. All right. It doesn't help your life. But you do need those friends that challenge you. And I'll tell you a story. Have you heard of a guy called Jay Abraham?
Yes.
Right. So Jay's a buddy of mine. He's actually the first testimonial on the back of the book. I love that boy. And I had this concept, I don't know, 4, 5, maybe even 6 years ago. Time flies. And it was a brilliant deal. And it was going to make me a multi-millionaire just from that deal. And I said, Jay, I found it. I discovered this. I've got this biz. And he went, come on over. We'll open up some whiskey and we'll run through it. This is Jay Abraham. You know, I'd go over there to talk to him about the color of wallpaper. He's a brilliant brain to be in the room with. So I get over to his house. I unload all of this documentation. I've got print off some PowerPoints and projections. I lay it all out and I go through with him with all my excitement and passion about this wonderful project. And I said, so what do you think? And he just looks at me and smiles. And then he said to me, is that it? And that was it. That was all he said. And I'm like, Jay, you know, we've just spent an hour going through this deal. And he went, no, I heard this, but a couple of things just aren't adding up to me. And I said, well, what are they? Now, again, I'm going to listen to this man because I revere him. And he turned around, he went, with your connections, with your passion, with your credibility, with your experience, and this was the beautiful line, I just expected you to go for a little bit more than that.
Oh.
And I suddenly realized I hadn't gone big enough. I hadn't dreamt big enough. And he looked at it and he went, why are you putting a ceiling on this? Why are you limiting the ability to scale that? Why are you holding yourself back on this expansion over here? You know, I want to know why you're sitting down on this. And I suddenly realized, and that was the powerful thing. I suddenly realized that we need to dream big. Elon Musk, I want to go to the moon. Great. How do you do it? Well, you know, first of all, I've got to get a rocket to get me there. So how do I get a rocket? Well, I build a rocket. Where do I build the rocket? Well, in Hawthorne, in California. You know, just step back from where your destination is going to be. So for me now, I always try to surround myself. And this is going to be a tough lesson for anyone out there. This is a tough thing to do. Look at your circle and ask who takes, who gives, who challenges, and who mocks. And look at your circle of people, because we've all got friends. Well, I will say gladly, I don't, but we all had friends that we've known since high school or college or, you know, from the neighborhood. And like, well, you know, he's my buddy because, you know, I've known him for 20 years. Well, I'm kind of guessing he was a prick 20 years ago as well. So get rid of the people out of your life that are not adding to it. And also at the same time, when you're willing to be as direct as that, start being the person that your friends want to keep in that circle.
Yeah. Gosh, it is actually, I was thinking back over the times where I've had that, and it doesn't tend to happen in my actual life, as in, you know, real life circle. If I get that kind of mocking, judging kind of response, it tends to be in social media. And just like you're saying, when that's happened, I notice it's people who don't really seem too happy with their own lives. And then I was thinking, and the other thing I notice is the people who I do recognize are doing, you know, big, exciting things with their life. It's just not even in their awareness to be looking at other people mocking. They just don't have the time, energy, space for that. It's just, why would you spend your time doing that when I certainly don't spend my time doing that to other people? And so you're completely right. It's like the logic of listening to people who would, you know, find that, you know, of interest to engage with you in that way. It makes no sense at all. It's very, you know, seductive that you need to take notice of them, but you're quite right. It makes no sense.
It doesn't. As I say, my stupid goal for this book is to get people to go for stupid. Now, there's a reason I'm asking them to go for stupid and not the impossible. A lot of people turn around and go, well, I'm going to go for the impossible. Why? You've already said it's impossible. I'm going to go for this dead end. I'm going to go for this, end of cliff. You've already stated there's a finite end to it. If you go for something that's stupid and ridiculous, you dream bigger. And in today's world, we don't dream well enough. So my stupid goal for this book is to get people to do stuff out of that comfort zone. And I want to start a movement. I want to do everyone hashtag go for stupid. I want people to dare to look at what they're doing and go, hang on a minute. How can I make this ridiculous? How can I have a stupid goal? I've got a business. I want to make $1 million. Why don't I go for a stupid goal of 5, fail, and make 2.5? I want people to go for stupid, audacious, ridiculous goals. And I would love to say that the problem is all today. The problem with today is it's easily amplified because of social. Okay. But we were this bad down in the days. Henry Ford had a protest. Get this. And there's this historic periods in this book where we talk about famous things that today we couldn't live without, but were literally protested and mocked as ridiculous concepts. And they tried to get Henry Ford not to build the car. And do you know the reason behind it? This is it. And this is truthful. And you can check it out. The reason they blocked Henry Ford from doing the car was because they said, my horse can go through the woods, your car can't. And you're going to love this. You're going to love this one. The Candle Society and the Candle Makers Union tried to block Edison doing the light bulb. You're going to love this reason, because of safety.
Oh my goodness.
Now, there's never, the fire of London was never caused by a light bulb. It was, candles, and constant burning. So it's ridiculous how we've got through this. It isn't a new problem, but if we're going to stand up and go, hey, we need to, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, Asian hate, well, let's actually start standing up to having a conversation and mockery and start changing that and being open to that. And I think it's up to us to stand up and go, hey, if you think I'm inappropriate, grab your snippet, knock your meme up. I don't care, because I'm going to be one of the crazy people that does.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my goodness. So the time's absolutely whizzed by, and
truth, yes.
So what would you suggest in terms of listeners are hearing this and feeling that sense of kind of, oh yes, I want to go for stupid? What would you suggest as some, like what could be that kind of first crazy act, that first thing they do, that first thing they try that allows them to kind of take even just a step in this direction?
Well, the beautiful thing is, and again, just a shallow plug on the book, is at the end of every chapter, I actually have a workbook to help you actually do that. And you say about the big goals. The big goals haven't got to be big to start with. The goals we've got to do have just got to be out of your normal. You've got to recognize it. I'll give you a quick example. When you go down to a car dealership and you see this strange color car and you think, who the hell would ever buy that color car? I've never seen that color car before. What's the only color of car you see when you're driving down the road the following day? It's that color, isn't it? Yeah. Why? Because your mind has been opened to that color. It's always been there, but now your mind can see it. When we train your mind to be open to doing audacious, ridiculous goals, it's the only thing it can see. So we will actually train you how to start off small, and then how to go for big, but starting training your head, your mindset, your persona, your belief and your confidence to actually go for something that you normally wouldn't, but now is definitely within your realm of possibility.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, that feels so exciting. So where can listeners find out all about you and the book that you have so beautifully plugged?
Yeah, so I'm actually, I'm really easy to get. I'm at Steve D. Sims, absolutely everywhere. One D for dashing, 1 M in Sims, stevedsims.com, Steve D. Sims on any social platform. Or you can go at goforstupid.com. and you'll learn about the book and a pretty little offer that we've got going on. It's out now. It's also on Amazon, but probably the best place to go is goforstupid.com.
Brilliant. So, such a great title as well, I have to say.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve. I feel like even though it's like your morning and my evening, I feel like you've been this kind of like shot of caffeine through my afternoon.
I'm glad. Look, I had fun here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. A real pleasure.